Okay, I think we're live on Facebook. Hi, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Hopefully you're on the Healthy Menopause Project page because you are interested in this season of life, this transitional period that I have been fascinated with for a couple years now. My name's Amanda. I'm one of the mentors and monitors of the page, and just so glad that you are joining us today because I invited a special guest to interview. She's my friend Connie, and we've gotten to know each other pretty well over the last year. And I've just been so surprised to learn about her journey about going gluten-free. And I know a lot of you on the page are really trying to add in things into your life, into your lifestyle that may help during this perimenopausal, menopausal phase to help you feel your best, look your best. And I thought Connie would be just such a great person to interview and to get to know because she's been gluten-free for 20 years. I'm going to read her bio. And we were just talking before we got on here that, really this gluten-free lifestyle has really helped her through this perimenopause, menopause phase in many different ways. And she's going to tell us more about that. So Connie Currie, she studied holistic nutrition for 20 years. She's a certified nutrition and fitness coach, as well as a NASM certified personal trainer. She teaches small and large group fitness classes. She does personal training and loves helping guide people through their gluten-free journey. She loves strength training, yoga, and spending time with friends and family. She's a 22-year-old son, a 20-year-old daughter, and a husband of 26 years. After years of dealing with belly bloat, distended gut, pain in her joints, brain fog, lack of energy, inflammation all over, and the rise and fall of the scale, she went gluten-free for good and started working on her gut health nutrition through nutrition and supplements. She now wakes up free from belly bloat, pain, and inflammation with endless energy and clear focus throughout the day. So raise your hand if you want more of that. I think all of us do. And if you're joining us for the actual live Facebook event, just let us know you're here. We always like to know who's joining in. Say hi, tag a friend who you think might be interested in learning this information. And then if you're watching the recording, just type in replay, let us know where you're watching from. And of course, write any questions in the comments. We can't see them right now because we're on Zoom, but we'll come back to the questions for sure and answer them later. So Connie, let's dive in. This is a page for women going through perimenopause and menopause. So we would love to hear a little bit about your journey. Where did it start? How's it been for you? Give us the goods.
Well, I'm sure we all find this journey of perimenopause, menopause so much fun. And we get to learn a lot about ourselves, which is really fantastic. And I think now having groups of women that really are engaged in it and discussing it and talking about it out loud, and people like you, Amanda, who really are focused on helping women go through it. And I think just bringing this awareness and you tagging along with other people and bringing awareness through different lenses is really a cool idea. So I'm 53. I'm actually surprisingly still in perimenopause. So I have not had my 1 year without a cycle yet.
So let's just back up just to remind people that that menopause is literally one date on the calendar, 12 months since your last period. And then after that is postmenopause. So you are still having occasional periods, it sounds like, at 53.
I know. So at 53, I still had one 3 months ago. And I think I went 2 months prior to that. And then I went 6 months prior to that. So it's a funny thing we go through, and I think it brings us all a lot of entertainment value. So my perimenopause journey, though, I have to say it, and I know, Amanda, you kind of feel the same way. Mine has not been horrific. It really hasn't. And I really do think that if people focus on the right things, if they focus on their nutrition, they focus on their movement, they focus on their health, like whatever that, looks like to them. We all know like sleep has an important factor in it. How much we move in the day, what our nutrition looks like. And I'm going to say probably, and I know not everybody's on board with HRT, but HRT has been a savior in my life. Like I've been on HRT for a while. And now that I am clicking into that perimenopause where I'm not consistently having periods, my HRT has changed. So,
And let's just back up. HRT meaning hormone replacement therapy for anyone who doesn't know. that lingo, and that means a combination of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone for you?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Around what age did you start that?
I've actually been on HRT for a lot longer than anyone's probably known on here, but I've been on it for 20 years.
Oh, okay.
So mine, though, my HRT process started back when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. So
Okay.
my HRT has been a little bit different. It was very low at first, it's changed over the years. It just helps, like some people with Hashis do much better having a little bit hormone on board because the production is not as good.
Okay.
So as of late, I'm getting more estrogen, in it because I don't know if people know this, but when you go, through perimenopause, our estrogen starts going down. So I want to say that's the good tie-in of the gluten-free lifestyle for people who are experiencing a lot of inflammation during their menopause timeframe. Because as estrogen goes down, that is the hormone that keeps us happy and away from like the pain and inflammatory response, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, I know you tout this with your people, but, a woman premenopausal has about 8% visceral fat. When women go through the menopause transition, they can actually almost triple. So it
Mhm.
goes like to 24 to 30%. So a lot of times people are like, what is going on with my belly? And that estrogen loss, it leads to increasing inflammation, which increases your blood sugar levels, which can increase insulin resistance. And as those insulin levels rise, we get into a more pro-inflammatory state and then drives more fat to that abdominal area. And it's just a vicious cycle. And it's not fun for us females, it kind of messes with our mind a little bit. So you know, there's kind of my thing.
Yeah, let me back up just so we can get clear on you're taking all three. Are you doing that in a pellet form, or are you, I think you told me, well, I
I
forget what you said.
I take it as a cream.
As a cream,
Yes,
all together.
yes, and I know that there are like debatable thought processes on the progesterone molecule that it can be large, and some physicians don't think that that can happen.
I'm gonna be letting my dog out as we talk, sorry.
Oh, yeah, no worries. So, I have not found that case. Like, I don't know if it's the compounding pharmacy that my physician utilizes or what it is, but mine is controlled well by my cream, which is kind of like a cream slash gel.
Okay.
The carrier is,
You're doing it every day?
I do it every day. Yep.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay, great.
Yeah.
Um, and what other, besides like the did you have any hot flashes or anything like that? Or what were your symptoms as you were sort of edging towards your periods becoming more irregular? Did you have any, was it brain fog? Was it dry skin? Like, did you identify any specific things going on?
So my biggest one has been, or I should say, the biggest one that made me realize that, yes, I'm starting to transition more, A, brain fog, and B, the hot flashes, but more night sweats, not hot flashes during the day. I
Okay,
actually have not, knock on wood, ever experienced like hot flashes during the day, but my
okay.
night sweats were for real.
And change the sheets kind of. Yeah.
Yes, mine were like for real. And so I'm on a product called Ova M that like completely helped with that. Um, but yeah, that was like the kicker of, okay, I definitely know I'm in perimenopause. And then the periods got irregular, but kind of all started right around the same time.
Yeah. So let's just to recap, just for anyone joining, we're talking to Connie Currie. She's going to tell us about her gluten-free journey, but I'm asking her about her menopause journey right now. And she's using all three hormone replacements. And then, just a reminder that you said estrogen is anti-inflammatory. So when our estrogen goes down, we start to get more inflamed, which is really where the gluten piece can come in too, because we all know gluten can be a bit inflammatory. So let's back up a little bit more. So when did you, I know you were working with the doctor like 20 years ago and kind of figured this out 20 years ago, but what were your initial symptoms that you needed to go gluten-free or that you even thought of that?
Okay, so I was diagnosed when I was trying to get pregnant. I couldn't get pregnant. And I was seeing a traditional physician at the time. And the traditional physician was like, okay, we're going to do Clomid, couple cycles of Clomid. That did not work. And I was like, and then he's like, okay, in vitro. And I'm like, I feel like there must be something wrong that I need to figure out. I really don't keep wanting to pump stuff in, and I don't want to do like,
Mm-hmm.
so at that point is where I sought out like functional medicine, holistic medicine, integrative medicine. And I came across a physician that actually was just starting a holistic practice. So I kind of grew with him, which was fun because he uses me as a guinea pig a lot because I'm very diligent.
Mm.
So anyway, he ran a panel of blood work. Literally in 2 months, I was pregnant. He ran a
Wow.
panel of and this was us trying for a long time.
Yeah.
He ran a panel, and it's just how he ran the blood work. So he really dove in on, your thyroid, the T3, T4, the free T3, free T4, everything. And so with that, he found out, oh, you have very severe hypothyroidism, and it was Hashimoto's. So
And Hashimoto's is autoimmune, is considered an autoimmune disease.
yes,
Okay.
yes, of your thyroid.
Okay.
And so once I got pregnant, went through the pregnancy. At that time, this is, 23 years ago. And at that time, autoimmune diseases were not linked with, gluten issues or gluten intolerances.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't until after I had my last child that I could not get the weight off. And I was like, I've always been able to get the weight off. I'm like, what is going on? And the more research I read and the more research I did, and then working with my functional medicine holistic physician, that's when people started linking, like diet and nutrition and autoimmune disorders. So after not being able to get the weight off, I went gluten-free. And it was like a complete turning point in my life because I was like very bloated all the time. I was very inflamed all the time. I mean, I looked like my neck, it was just like huge. I have a picture and it's very funny looking when you see like what I looked like when I had it. But then once I did go gluten-free, I mean, the brain fog completely went away. The inflammation and pain in every joint went away.
Wow.
My gut distension went completely down. But like many people, I mean, if people are listening to this and people who are alive, if you are having issues going gluten-free and you play the game of like, I am going gluten-free and you're gluten-free for a few days, and then you go back and you feel it even more, trust me, I played that game for a while, not knowing how bad that can be. So I don't like when I'm coaching people and helping people go gluten free, I get it. I get it. Like
Mhm.
nobody's perfect all the time right away. It takes a while and it takes a lot of pain to realize this is not worth it.
So if someone's listening and they're thinking, this sort of sounds like me, it sounds like bloating, gut discomfort, like what are some of the just inflammation, pain, like in joint pains and
Well,
things?
so, okay, it depends. There's three things. People are celiac, people
Okay,
are allergic, people are intolerant.
okay.
Who are celiac theirs is pretty much all abdominal, because that is an autoimmune disorder in the
In and of
intestine.
itself, yeah, okay.
Yes. And so theirs is all pain, inflammation in the gut.
In the gut, okay.
Someone who's allergic, they might get rashes. They might have like not so much anaphylactic, but they might get like skin rashes. They might have issues breathing. They might have allergic type reactions.
Okay,
Someone who's intolerant is someone like me. They experience a lot of pain and inflammation from it, and it's not necessarily just in the gut. It can be systemic. And brain fog, that's a big one. Belly distension, that's really big. Belly distension happens with both allergic and intolerance. But some people have issues like constipation and some go the other way. So,
Okay. And is
depends.
there a blood test for all three, or is it more based on you eliminate it and then see how you feel?
So back when I did it, there weren't blood tests. There are now. But
Okay.
here's the thing. If I took a blood test right now to see if I was intolerant, I wouldn't show up because I've been away from gluten for so long that it would not show up as an inflammatory marker for me. It would not show up
Mhm.
as an allergy for me. So you have to actually actively be eating gluten in order to get that. So
Oh,
some people who like, if they just want the actual diagnosis,
mhm.
they might have to go through pain in order to get the actual diagnosis. I personally tell people I wouldn't worry about the blood test.
Yeah.
I would worry about the Cyrex panel, the Genova panel, or wherever, whatever lab you want to do. I would go gluten-free for 2 weeks. I tell people go gluten-free for
Yeah,
two
that was
weeks.
going to be a question. How long do you need? So 2 weeks kind of gives you a good baseline of like,
2 weeks will show you the inflammation coming down and the belly bloat coming down. You will
okay.
not get rid of gluten for a month.
Oh,
It
okay.
can be active in your system for a month. Oh, by the way, yeah, I was exposed to gluten. It's 3.5 weeks now that I was exposed to gluten. I'm still having inflammation from it. And I
Oh,
haven't had a gluten reaction in years. But
mm,
this one like took me to my knees. It was so bad.
wow. Yeah, oh, that has to be so hard. So I love that there's kind of like perimenopause and testing hormones. Like it's good you can get tested, but you also can just treat symptoms, right? Because if we know you're feeling these symptoms, we want to treat them. So same with gluten. Like if you're feeling any of this, going gluten-free for 2 weeks, see how you feel, and then continue on. So I know you're great at coaching people on how to get started going gluten-free. So what are some ideas you have, or how do you help someone get started? Is it get rid of their pantry, start learning how to read labels? Like I'm sure it's a little bit of all of that, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. I mean, if I'm going to just speak in a nutshell and keep it condensed for time
Mhm.
purposes, um, I tell people like, here's one rule. Let's start with the three P's.
Okay.
The three P's is kind of simple to start with. And especially because your audience, I mean, they need these three P's anyway.
Right.
So
Right.
the three P's are going to help people not only like who want to go gluten free, but people who are in perimenopause and menopause. Because the three P's that I preach to people are one, prioritize your protein.
I've been
And as
talking
you
about
know,
that
ma'am,
all the time on here. Yeah.
yeah, you talk about that all the time. And I'm of the thought process, and this couldn't be too high for people, but I tell people that I coach, go
Hmm.
with your ideal body weight in
Hmm.
grams of protein per day. So,
Hmm.
for example, say I weigh 150 pounds,
Hmm.
say I eat 3 meals a day. I'm
Hmm.
going to roughly try to attain 50 grams of protein per day or
Hmm.
per meal.
Right. And most people are eating about a third of that, right? Most
Right.
women are tracking
Most
50.
women,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, we're just not used to prioritizing that much. So,
right.
okay, protein and by front loading protein, we know it's going to help with blood sugar regulation and muscle building. But for going gluten free, I guess it's just going to help you feel fuller as well and not maybe go for the carby like gluten stuff. Is that what it
Yeah,
does? Yep.
that's so satiety is a big thing. So protein, you like people even like drinking water with protein because you're eating protein.
Hmm.
So it really helps with the satiation factor. And
Okay.
satiety and like you said, the blood sugar level response and just starting with that protein, you are going to start feeling fuller quicker. Because as you know, when we go through perimenopause, menopause, our ghrelin signaling, like the signaling is so different with ghrelin and leptin.
Hmm.
We don't feel full as fast and we don't stay satiated as long. So prioritizing that protein first is huge for women. And then the next P is plants. And I say
Mhm.
plants because as you know, like, and I know, I think I've seen you do this in story flows and I've seen you post this. Women need at least 25 grams of fiber a day.
Mhm.
And it's super important in perimenopause, menopause timeframe to make sure you are hitting that 25 grams of fiber mark. And so next up, eating those plants. I'm not saying you have to eat them in that order, but prioritize it in your brain when you're making your meals. You want to make sure you hit your protein. You want to make sure you're getting your plants in, like all your fibrous vegetables, like artichokes, amazing, 1 cup you get 10 grams, you know, your broccoli, your Brussels sprouts, your kale, your leafy greens, your spinach, lima beans, peas, like things that have a good amount of fiber. Prioritize that. And then my other P is probiotics. So another thing that happens in menopause is our gut microbiome starts to change. And we really need to make sure that we keep that gut microbiota extremely happy. And that's where like that brain fog can happen too in perimenopause, is that we are not feeding that gut microbiome properly so that we are not having that, you know, gut brain connection. So doing any sort of probiotic foods. So I know you start your day a lot with yogurt, you know, non-fat Greek yogurt, super high in protein, super high in some amazing, like lactobacillus is one that when estrogen goes down, lactobacillus goes down. So we want to make sure that if you're not having that HRT, you are, you know, getting it in through foods. And so yogurt, kefir, any fermented foods, kimchi, sauerkraut, if people like to drink kombucha, you know, things that
Yep.
will help with that gut microbiome and keeping those probiotics.
Love that. I love the three Ps. I also just want to throw in, with the plants, also anti-inflammatory, right? So we're going to keep that
Yes.
inflammation down in our joints and in our body too as our estrogen goes down. Okay, so you're going gluten free. You're gonna prioritize the three Ps, and then obviously remove things in your diet that may have gluten in them. I'm thinking things like breads and pizza crusts and cookies and that kind of snacky. Is that where most gluten is? It's in like processed foods or
Yeah,
that?
it's in processed foods. And I know like when people start a gluten-free journey, there is no reality of, oh, I'm going to give up all my processed foods,
Right.
you know. So it's finding the correct replacements for those. I personally myself eat predominantly whole foods. I really do. I mean, because when I eat processed foods, there's, you know, there's always the possibility of a cross contamination.
Yeah.
Unless there's brands that I 100% trust. Like there's brands I completely trust on processed foods, but I'm just not a big processed food person. You know, making my own breads is fine by me.
Yeah, that leads into, we had a question about bread because everyone's like gluten and bread, like how can I give up my bread, right? So
Yeah.
do you have to
So
give up bread? No, you don't have to. And then what are the best bread alternatives? And Connie has such a great TikTok and does so many great reels. She'll be in Trader Joe's, in Costco, showing us what to buy. And so I'm going to make sure we put that link in the comments. So you'll definitely want to go follow her there. But yeah, tell us, I know you like some of the canyon, is it something
yeah,
canyon?
so I actually brought this up here. So
Okay,
Canyon bacon. Oh, you can't blur my background here.
canyon, okay, 7 grain.
Here, I'll unblur my background so that yeah, so Canyon Bakehouse, like most of their breads are uber clean. They
Okay,
have, I have this coupon here. It shows like they have different types. So
uh-huh,
they do have, you know, like a white bread, a sour, you know,
okay.
different buns. Um, Now I don't want to get like uber picky because some people aren't into like the uber picky nutrition. The reason I like Canyon Bakehouse more than others is because they also don't use seed oils. And I'm
Mhm.
not saying people need to be that nuts about seed oils, but they also don't use corn flour. So my biggest thing is looking at the flours. So if you in Canyon Bakehouse can be a higher price point. So if you're just looking for decent gluten-free breads and you're not like super picky about seed oils, I would just say Trader Joe has fantastic like white, multigrain,
Okay.
wheat. I'm not wheat, brown rice, you know, like they have quite a few. They even have gluten-free bagels in various flavors. They have the everything, the raisin. So Trader Joe has a great price point on gluten-free bread.
Okay, okay, that's good to know. And then if you want to go up a notch, the Canyon brands.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, and then do you make your own bread? Is that right too? Or you make
Yeah,
yours
I
are
make, yeah, you know, I'll make it out of almond flour, coconut flours. I actually did a TikTok the other day of 100% protein powder bread.
oh wow, okay.
So it's a 90 grams of protein, zero carb loaf of bread.
Whoa, okay, I'll check, we'll have to definitely check that out. Did it taste good?
It's a vehicle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you want
It's
to put
like a
some.
vehicle for almond toast, or if you want like to put your eggs and your bacon or whatever. I'm gonna call it a vehicle for a sandwich, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're rethinking, just going down the bread route, if you're rethinking a sandwich or pizza, you can obviously use alternative grains like different flours. And there's so many great ones out there that I know are just one for one, right? You
Yeah.
swap regular flour for the gluten-free fat flour. So
Yeah.
that's an
Namaste brand rises the best. Like if you're baking or if you're doing things with it, Namaste does really well. Bob's Red Mill has some good baking ones as well. Um, when it comes to pizza, like that is probably the number one that I hear from people who are, you know, people who are transitioning also from like maybe a lifestyle change. Like it doesn't even, they just want to make a big change on their health.
Mhm.
And they're not at the point of being like, I'm gonna say I can be a little crazy. Like I'm
Yeah.
like a whole
Yeah.
food person. So
Yeah.
when I'm teaching people who just realistically want to make a transition, Costco has amazing, and so does Trader Joe, cauliflower crust pizzas that are not made with corn flour. I'm very against corn flour because most people who have gluten allergies also have corn allergies. They
Oh,
also get inflamed from corn. I mean, I'm going to tell you, like, I see it in probably 90% of people who have like a bloating inflammation issue with gluten also have it with corn.
also have it with corn. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so there's one you said California Pizza Kitchen.
No, cauliflower crust
Oh,
pizza.
cauliflower. Oh, okay.
Cauliflower crust pizza. So Costco has their own brand, and Costco also sells one called Milton's. Both of those are they're very clean. You know, like they don't have the corn flour in them. Trader Joe has a couple that have corn flour and a couple that don't have corn flour. So just, I tell people when they're doing the gluten-free pizza run, read the label
Yeah,
because you don't want to end up back to being inflamed just because you're giving up gluten, then all of a sudden it has corn flour in it. And you're like, okay, I still feel crappy, you know?
yeah, yeah. Well, I love that you are just such a pioneer in this area because talk about there probably wasn't any of these resources 23 years ago. So you've
So,
really had to be your own advocate. You've had to figure all this out. And now people coming in, they have TikToks to look at. They have the
right.
real, they have the recipes, they have all the stuff. So it's probably easier than ever to go, on some ways it's easier than ever to go gluten-free because of all the resources. Probably in other ways, we have so much more processed food than we've ever had. So it's
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah. So
And
like, and when you talk about bread, like sometimes I like people to think about romaine lettuce or think about jicama wraps. Like those are
yeah,
they're super yummy with like a tuna salad or a chicken salad. Like I'm doing tacos tonight, and I like doing like two two tacos maybe with the there's a certain brand I absolutely love for anything Mexican, and that's Siete, Siete.
yeah,
Actually, yes, I grabbed that so people could see that too. This this family, they use very nice, clean ingredients in their taco shells. Even my son, who makes fun of my gluten stuff and won't eat anything gluten free, he thinks the shells are better than
and
a regular shell.
okay, okay, that's a good one. And I do see Costco sell big ones of like the big bags too. So
Yeah.
that's great to know. Well, this has been so helpful. I think just starting the conversation again with women on here who are maybe struggling with the symptoms of perimenopause. This could be another tool in your toolbox to just help you feel and look your best and have the energy that you want, help with that brain fog. It may not all be related to declining hormones. It could be a piece of this could be just having like you said, an allergy or what's the other word you used?
Sensitivity, insulin or
Sensitivity,
sensitivity to it. Yeah.
yeah, to gluten, and removing it for the 2-week trial period and see how you feel, right? We're our own best experiment. So
Right.
do it for 2 weeks. Follow Connie on TikTok. Connie is coming out with a gluten-free guide, which we're really excited about. So that is coming soon. So you'll want to be sure to follow her for that. Any final thoughts for women, Connie, as we wrap up?
One other thing I would say too is, a lot of people who are going through perimenopause and also maybe wanting to try the gluten-free part, because the two aspects kind of go hand in hand when it comes to bringing down inflammation. And I think a lot of women too, they don't feel empowered for lifting and keeping their muscles, the integrity of their muscles, and that's super important going through, perimenopause, menopause. And I touch on this because inflammation sometimes is the culprit of why women don't want to lift. I have some women who start with me and they're like, I'm afraid to lift. I'm afraid because I can't even move. They can't squat. They can't lunge.
Because they're in pain.
They're in so much pain and so much inflammation. And we don't think about that factor of
Ah,
they, you want them to feel empowered to keep up their bone density, to keep up their muscular strength,
yeah.
to keep up their mobility and ability to live a better life. And the inflammation sometimes is such a huge component, and people don't even realize the reason why maybe they're having that big inflammatory component is a mixture of going through perimenopause, menopause, having that estrogen level dive down, and at the same time, their guts messed up, and it's like this huge inflammatory response happening. So bringing those two together and bringing down that inflammation can help empower women in other ways too when it comes to strength building.
Oh, love that. Yes. And then there's the whole brain health piece too, that just helps them be able to focus more and concentrate
Yes.
with inflammation being down. So yeah, it's going to help every area of your life for sure. So if we can get on top of this. So yeah, let us know what questions you have. We'll put all the links that we said in the comments. And any other topics you'd like us to cover on here, go ahead and write those in the comments too. We try to do a hot topic at least once a month. And again, just thanks for being on, and thank you,
Thank
Connie.
you, Amanda, for hosting. I totally
Yeah.
appreciate it. And yes, if you guys want to follow me on Instagram and TikTok, it's Connie Valentine Currie.
Yeah,
And it's,
and I'll put that link in the comments.
thank
All
you.
right.
Thanks for
Thanks,
having me.
everyone.
Appreciate it.
Bye.